But we're gonna be talking about dating with ADHD today. So let me actually drop that.
Why is it so hard? Getting you up. Counting the days till you call. Ex King.
Let's jump into it. My name is Jace, guys. Jace Preem. I run ADHD Survival. I run U First Solutions, and I also handle things for our e-com store. Today is our again first remote episode of the Hyperactive Hustler, and I'm really excited for today's episode. I just threw something in our bio. I asked, "Hey, what should we talk about today?" And you guys said talking. A few people said actually, dating with ADHD, and that doesn't get talked about enough. How hard it can be, and just just the challenges that come with it, the dangers that come with it. I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with Atypical. A lot of mixed feelings around that show. I felt very, very well represented in that show, and I enjoyed it. But I know a lot of people in the community do feel otherwise, and it's totally everything is to each his own. But in that show, we saw the Sam's mom, who we end up finding out is also ADHD. We found out that Sam's mom did not want him to date at all. Like, she was super duper against it. And when she presented those reasons why, it really got me thinking myself. And that was a big reason why I love that show, because it really validated how hard it can be when you're on the spectrum, or you are ADHD and you're trying to date like that. It can be very, very hard. You're misreading cues, especially from the man's perspective. Most all communication, most all communication when it comes to dating is indirect, or even just in general. Like, people are just usually, a lot of neurotypicals are indirect in general, so it's hard to pick up on that. So I was really glad that you guys suggested that. Let's get some waves going to you guys. Appreciate you guys joining in. And as you guys start to see, like, you guys we'll move over to our community. We'll get really interactive. You guys can join the stream. You guys can get co-host access. You guys can jump in. As you guys start to see our reels that are posting, if you guys are joining within our community, you will be able to be featured in those reels. And then if you are, I will collaborate with you. So how that will work, if you join our community. So again, let me just make sure that that's live, so that when you guys comment live, you guys will be zapped right in. So let's do this. Save. Save. How do we suggest a topic? We'll love this to be a regular thing. This is actually going to be a weekly thing. So every single Monday and Wednesday, we'll be going live from our actual community. These first few lives will also go live on Instagram, just so you guys can see, and just to make it just because we know that it's going to take you guys a time to adjust. But eventually, we'll only be going live directly from our community, and then we'll always drop links in our bio. We'll always drop links on our stories. We know how scary it is sometimes to leave the Instagram app, so we're totally fine with it taking a little while for you guys to make the transition. But as you guys start to see reels posted with some of you guys in them, you guys might want to just try it out. But if you guys would like to join our actual community live, I'm setting it up right now, so that once you guys comment the word, if you guys comment the word live on this live, you'll be zapped right in, or you'll be sent what you need. And that's golden. Awesome. So if you guys do comment, let me put that in here as well. Buenas noches. So I love, like, that, the fact that people from all over join. And our first sale in our store was from I believe England, so that was super duper dope. Community. What am I about to type? Comment live to join our community live and chat with me. Can I pin this? Can I pin two? Oh, you're gonna have one. Liverpool, England. Wow. So I can see that this page, we have a lot of people from the UK, so that's dope. And I see that's Liverpool, England. Oh my God, that's dope. I saw somebody say good morning too. Oh my God. Though it's 6 p.m. for me. I'm in EST. Let's get it cracking, guys. So I said a little bit about myself. I know we have a few people who joined on Instagram live here. Let me just find Find where I'm at, man. Scrambled. Got two screens up. But today, again, we're talking dating with ADHD. Like I mentioned, guys, it's so it's very not talked it's not talked about as much. Like everybody just expects you to figure things out once you hit 18 and once you're in the grown-up world. But there's a lot of people who've never been taught how to date, especially on the spectrum. You have to learn the rules because like we all do cling to rules naturally. We do not like when, things like entrepreneurship and dating are things that we are always attracted to, but they're very hard for us because both of those are very, very lawless lands. Business and dating, completely lawless lands. There's no consistent rules. You have to keep you stay on your toes. So it's something that needs to be talked about a lot because it can get very, very tricky, especially if you're with you're dating the wrong people or you're getting into the wrong type of business. So that's why it's really good to stay within a community. Stay within people who are like yourself and people who love you, right? People who actually love you and very and care about you, so that you're not taken advantage of and things like that. But just for me, before I jump into it and kind of open it up for you guys a little bit more, just me, like my dating life with ADHD from the beginning, like was always so like now that I look back, because I'm late diagnosed. When I look back, I'm like, dude, like I would hyper focus on people and just be so upset when they like just don't feel the same and they don't fall in love with me after 3 days. It's like that is such a crazy thing, and some people just look at themselves and they feel dumb. They feel like, oh my God, I'm so, what's wrong with me? Why didn't they fall fast? And it's like, some things like that are also native, to the ADHD. So for me, like it's always been like back and forth, like, ups and downs, falling too fast, people pleasing too much, not putting up, really, really good boundaries and not putting up, I guess, respectable boundaries for myself, and not liking when other people put up boundaries. So another thing with ADHD and another thing with autism is we when we get close to people, we really get fully immersed and we like the same. And sometimes if they're not um, letting their walls down just like we are, we take that very, very personal and it hurts. So that's a huge thing with dating because people, we tend to again hyper focus on certain people, and if they don't feel the same pretty quick, then we crash out, and now we're feeling like we're terrible and we don't know anything. So that's I'm excited for today. I'm glad you guys mentioned that. What about bipolar mixed with ADHD? No, no, no. But no, that's I can. Whew, that I mean, being bipolar, like just forget the ADHD part. Being bipolar dating can be really hard, especially if you're not, dating people who are empathetic, because it's really hard to empathize with things you don't understand and you don't have. And I can speak from experience. Like even I've sometimes, looked at someone else because I have ADHD. And I looked at someone else and I found out that they had ADHD, and I'm like, I would have like no, you don't. Like, and it's like when someone is acting different, because of course there's different things, there's different strands, there's different variations of so many things. But when people do things that we're not accustomed to or that we never done before, it's just easy to, um, it's easy to think it's weird, or it's easy to not understand. So with the bipolar, like I would say, when it comes to dating, you really have to be very, very, very selective, and you really have to. I always say when it comes to dating, I treat it like once I got into sales, I always just treated it like sales, because you have to qualify people, and it's hard when you're a people pleaser. It's hard to tell someone, hey, I don't want to go on another date with you because I didn't enjoy it. And it's like you don't, because we're usually people on the spectrum. We have so much empathy. Doing something like that is just too hard to do. Like we don't want to mess up anyone's day like that. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings like that. So I'm just looking at the stream over here as well. But that can be a big thing. Like a lot of people on the spectrum end up staying in relationships. Obviously, there's a range for this. There are a lot of people who are very easy at being upfront, and then there's people who have the other tendencies, right? And I fall on the other tendencies of the people pleasing, not being as upfront, not setting the proper boundaries that you should set. So those are like the biggest things that always work for me. You guys feel free to comment some of your biggest struggles with dating, being on the spectrum, whether it's or even just dealing with your mental health, whether it's your anxiety, whether it's if you guys want to share any stories, definitely feel free to drop them, and then I can get to asking away and see what's going on. But just so you guys know, as you guys start to drop some of your experiences or things that happen to you, the biggest maybe even question that you guys have for me, regarding dating with ADHD or just ADHD in general. I'm not a medical professional, so I have to say that. I always have to say that I'm not a medical professional, but I do study a lot. I'm a student of the game, and I try to keep myself very knowledgeable about this, since I mean, for one, I have to live with it, and for two, I try to surround myself with people who are also, now I try to surround myself with people who are also on the spectrum or who are also ADHD and things like that. Because it's just so much more refreshing. Like, usually, not to say usually, like, there's just a big percentage of neurotypicals who, you don't know what you're getting. Like, it's just society is conditioned, and I'm not judging them at all, because if I could read the cues that would tell me when it's time to maybe act a certain way, maybe I would too. But I never even could read the cue that tells me now it's time to put on a different mask. But society, a lot of people are conditioned to not be themselves. They're conditioned to just show up being. How would you deal with sitting still? You see how I'm dealing with this right now. I'm barely, like, I'm trying to hang in there, but I'm trying to I got my desk set up in a way that it keeps me good. Um I shouldn't even read that comment, man. Threw me that completely threw me off, man. Completely threw me off. You guys gonna see, like, a lot of people might come on here and maybe they not, you can't really tell, but you're gonna be able to tell that I got ADHD very, very early into this series. You'll be able to tell. But for the people joining, for anyone joining who doesn't know what ADHD is, ADHD is stands for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, a neurodevelopmental, that's a mouthful, but a neurodevelopmental disorder. Usually, like, the symptoms that are the most popular are inattention, right, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. But the side that people don't talk about much, and it's usually correlated with people who have ADHD and are also on the autism spectrum, is the emotional side of it. So we feel things so much more intensely than most people. So many people on the spectrum deal with temperament, deal with having meltdowns because we can't handle our emotions. And a lot of guys, so many guys go undiagnosed with ADHD, and especially autism, because the high functioning is what gets people in trouble. Because what happens with that high functioning label is, if you're labeled with that very early, that ends up meaning no resources. So it might sound good that you're high functioning, but they're not going to give you what you need because they're putting that label on you. And a lot of guys go undiagnosed with autism, and not to say it's an excuse for anything that comes with it, but if you are, what time is it here? It is 6 p.m. But if you don't know you have autism, that's just a problem, right? That's people can act like it's fake and act like it's not real all they want. But if you learn that you have it, it's a lot easier to manage it, as opposed to not knowing you have it, because then you're blaming things on other things. For example, if you have autism and you're dating and you go on a date, and you wear this tie, and you research this person, and you research their favorite colors and all this, and you wore it because of them, and they don't compliment it, and now you're having a meltdown and you don't know why, and you end up going home and you're thinking, like, that was on her, she's terrible and all this. And no, like, you need to actually go get tested, figure that out. Like, things like that are just over, somebody says something, and it sits in with you for days. These aren't things that just tell you automatically you have it, but, like, these are definitely things to start a conversation. Because a lot of times when we're dealing with temperament, when we're dealing with things, and it feels like our emotions or just any part of our body is out of our control, there's time to get help. We don't ever want to feel like we're out of control, right? But when it comes putting it back to dating, I know that was a little rabbit hole. Taking it back to dating, the reasons why, and some of you guys can, hello, hi. Here in Greece is 1:17 a.m. You're a trooper, Angelos. 1:17. Yeah, it's 6:19 EST here. Got more people on Instagram. It's probably gonna be more people on Instagram, than the stream for a while. But that's totally dope, because these episodes right now, you guys looking at me, you guys listening to me, these episodes will be dropping on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify Podcasts and on YouTube. So everyone watching right now for this full talk, this will be available, and there will be some reels that drop, and you guys will get to see bits and pieces. So as you guys start to actually join in our community, You guys will be able to again participate in episodes. So if any of you guys does have an ADHD related, business, or you're an ADHD content creator, or even if you don't have ADHD, but you're an ally, or you're someone who just supports the community, definitely feel free. You guys can again hit live to join our live, and like you can actually interact with me, and then we can have an open conversation, like, and you can be on the podcast remotely. So definitely feel free, guys. Comment live. You guys can get all the details there. But moving on to the challenges when it comes to dating, and it's usually beyond the. So I already talked about the emotional things first. I just like to talk about that first because a lot of people don't really know that, and they don't take it serious that that comes with ADHD, that comes with those things, those intense emotions. But forgetfulness, so forgetting dates, especially for us guys, we're already bad as it is, but adding ADHD to having to remember dates, not good. I, for some reason, I mean, we obviously have a weird thing with priority, and I just make it a priority to just remember my significant other's birthday, but that ends up in turning into me not being able to remember anybody else's birthday. But difficulty managing focus during conversations. So a lot of times, partners saying, "Oh, you don't pay attention to me. You're never listening. You always pull out your phone." And still not an excuse. Once you know you have a problem, it doesn't matter what is causing that problem. I like to believe it's on us to find a solution, no matter what the circumstances are. So whenever, and I just want to make sure I say this. I'm glad I'm saying this on our first remote episode here. Getting an ADHD diagnosis is not an excuse to just be lazy, or just to just succumb to what happens to us because of ADHD. It is getting a diagnosis is to make sure you can get help to be able to live life efficiently and still be able to reach your goals. That's the reason why to get a diagnosis. A lot of people, there's a lot of bad stigma in our community, just because so many people just either say they have ADHD, or when they get diagnosed, they just blame everything on it and they never try to get better ever. Obviously, there's outliers to that, people who just they have worse cases, and obviously it affects people in different ways. But we all know the people who just want to use it as their crutch, as their excuse forever, and they would rather believe that it's going to hold them back forever than see what happens if they try to go up against it. And that's kind of the point of getting diagnosed, in my opinion, is not to just say, "Oh, I have it and this is why I do everything now." Like, no, I have it, and now let's try to see what I can do to navigate this, because it's not going anywhere. That's the one thing. It's as of right now, there's no cure. You just have it and you have to deal with it. So dating, that's something that it takes practice. I say my biggest advice for people on the spectrum, people with ADHD who are dating, practice, 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 practice. Like, just, and for anyone who does have the people pleasing aspect of ADHD and autism, really set, you have to make it, put it your lock screen to set boundaries, right? Because it's so easy to let people in, and we want to trust people, and we want to see the best in everybody, but we're the most prone to ignore red flags because we just want a friend, like, especially for us ADHDers and people on the spectrum, where it's really hard for us to date. When we find someone who likes us, we want them, and we don't want them to go anywhere. We're like, okay, this is somebody who is not judging me. Let me stick around. Let me stay with this person, even if maybe they're not doing exactly what they should, or maybe it's not maybe not that compatible, right? So we have the biggest tendency to settle and get stuck in situations we don't want to be in, because of our just lack of that. I wouldn't say leadership, but just being able to make decisions and make those, make the good decisions, because we're also very impulsive. Um, you guys, I do want to know more about you guys. Like, you guys don't let me run the show. I did start this. We did start this for the community. A lot of people, when we put the post out about it, you guys were voting like, yes, we want this, we want this. We had even a couple people earlier this live say, hey, I want this to be a normal thing. It is. Obviously, as you guys start to come over to our community, it'll be a lot more interactive, because within our live here, you'll be able to do more. But still, feel free to drop me your craziest dating stories, being on the spectrum, whether it's you dating someone else who had ADHD and they did something, that threw you off guard, or just something that's worth talking about, or you're the person, right? You are the realest ADHD. That makes any sense at all. I appreciate it. I try to just come as I am and be transparent, and then just let everything else happen from there. But I want to hear your guys' stories, man. I want to hear your guys', the craziest stories that you've encountered, the craziest situations that you've wandered into. Maybe even just the longest relationship you stayed in after, your hyper focus ran out and you actually didn't like them anymore. Anything like that, guys. I'm definitely down to talk about. But I want to talk about the strengths. While I'm waiting for some of you guys to drop some of that stuff, the strengths. Um, Being able to think outside the box, dating someone with ADHD who likes you is a really cool thing, because we're just, even us who aren't creative, right? You have a pretty crazy story from a past relationship. I want to hear the tea. I want to know what's going on. But we have the biggest tendency to be able to think outside the box and do super creative things, mainly because we really are, like, usually ADHDers, we love the hardest. We are super intense with it too, and we want you to feel that. So we like to give you things that are completely specifically cut and tailored to who you are, and that usually comes with, I mean, obviously, you can be thoughtful and not have ADHD, right? And you can have ADHD and not be thoughtful. These are all just things that are common, guys, things that within communities, being in different community chats for years, we have found to be common. One thing I do also want to address, we did have a few posts where a lot of people, um, it seemed like most people understood. Oh yeah, definitely. Shoot me a message for sure. But I think most people understand that we're not doctors and none of our posts are meant to diagnose. But there were a lot of people when we post some memes, who take it, who just take it and run with it and think that we're saying, if you resonate with this, if you vibe with this meme, you have ADHD no matter what. And it's like, no, no, no. Nothing I ever say, no meme I ever post will ever mean that at all. Again, I'm not a doctor, so it couldn't mean that even if I wanted it to mean that. So just putting that out there. But I see you guys commenting live. So once you guys fill out that form after you comment live, it'll take you right to our community, and you guys should be able to see it. You guys should be able to see that it's live. You should be able to see us live in Circle. If you can't, you just go ahead. Once you join the community, you'll go over to live episodes, and right in there, you'll see this episode. Click join, and you'll see me on the big screen too. You guys can join from laptops and anything if you want to come with your setup and come in and talk to me, and then you can actually share this. I can make you co-host, and then you can talk with me too, and you can be on the screen again, show up in some of the reels that we post, yada yada yada, all that good stuff. But thinking outside the box is a really really big common one. And then enthusiasm, right? So we're able to, usually we don't have RBF. People on the spectrum usually, well, I'm not going to say that. There's, again, there's variations, and there's people who are this way, and then there's the people who are this way. I'm on the side who I don't have. I want you to, my face always shows you what's going on, even when I don't want it to. So I'm really bad at masking emotions. Like I'm good at, to someone who's never met me, but if you know me, if I'm not good. Even if I try my best to not let you see it, you gonna know. And for some people, it's the opposite. You'll never be able to read it. But I'm pretty easy to read once you get to know my tendencies. But at first, I can probably trick you for a little bit, but it won't last long. But usually there's no doubt that we love you. So usually if you're dating an ADHD, we wear our hearts on our sleeves. We say everything we think. So if we love you or we don't, you should know that at any point of the relationship. That's usually how it goes with us. But the downside of it, so we have our hyper focus, which it tends to be a superpower. But the downside of it is, when we hyper focus, we go all in, and sometimes when we're dating, we can go all in too much, and it's like, oh, I forgot to actually qualify as I was going all in. I forgot to actually figure out if we're a match, as opposed to, do they just like me as I was going all in. I have what's known as resting indigenous face. I would love to hear what that's about. Oh, geez. I see you guys, commenting live, man. I'm not seeing y'all in here. Let me know if you guys are having trouble. Feel free to comment in the live if you guys don't see it once you get over there. But yeah, it should take you right in. It should be pretty cool. But strategies. I want to move into some like actual, because me, I'm not sure. Like everybody listens to podcasts for different reasons. Everybody joins live for different reasons. With me, whenever I'm joining anything, I'm trying to get as much value out of it as I possibly can. Especially, we're in 2024. We're in a new year, so I know a lot of you guys are trying to be better than you were last year. So, my on both podcasts, personal growth is an underlying theme, just because I think that should be everybody's, like my business partner, one of my business partners, and a really really good friend of mine. He says in his version of the meaning of life is to just get better than you were yesterday and just be the best version of yourself. And that's like honestly, like we're there's so many religions, and I of course I have my own religion. Everyone has their own religion and thing that they follow. But I think at the end of the day, one thing we should all be able to agree on is just being the best version of yourself. That should be the goal. That should just always be what we're trying to do. So I see you guys coming in live. Hopefully, let me know, guys, if you guys are getting everything that you need and you're able to join and it's working out. I know some of you guys need to download the app. That's why I said I know we're gonna be on Instagram probably for a while as we figure it out. But as you guys start to see episodes drop, I'm not gonna push you guys. You guys are gonna want to be over in the actual community stream, especially once we have some of these special guests that we're gonna have pretty soon. um, I won't spill any beans yet, but we do have a special guest that we're bringing on this Monday. We'll be dropping who they are soon, but just I guess to give you guys hints, if you some of you guys in the ADHD community may know him, but he was considered for a Grammy, and he will be. He was considered for a Grammy. He makes music in the ADHD category, so very excited. We'll be dropping who he is, what we'll be talking about very soon. But that episode will come on Monday for you guys. But what time is it? We're sitting at 6:30. We've been streaming for 30 minutes. I appreciate you guys who are all in. This is just dope. I'm definitely glad we got to. Well, you still be live on Instagram whenever everything gets set up. We'll go live. We'll play with it. We just want to make sure that like, because the goal is just to have everybody over here, just because it's just a lot easier as far as lives go and as the podcast go, and then just as far as me having to look at two different screens. It will be. I feel like it becomes rude to one of your audiences when you're just kind of looking at the other screen the whole time. But that's just probably a me thing. But we'll play with it. We'll see. But I would prefer the community, and I think you guys will end up preferring it too. Within the community, we have almost 300 people now, and we have an ADHD chat. We have chats for business owners. We have chats for creatives. It is just a one-stop shop to just be around people who are just like you with the same goals, and not only the same goals, but the same like weaknesses. Or let me not say that. That's a like terrible word. Not weaknesses, but the same. I would say challenges, right? The same challenges that we face. So it's really it's being around one of those groups, or being around a group with the same challenges as you is pretty cool. Being around a group with the same goals as you is pretty cool. But when you're around a group that shares the same goals and challenges, you can actually talk with them and actually troubleshoot some ways to handle it, because it's an even playing field. But other times it's like, if someone doesn't have ADHD but they have the same goal as you, the way that they navigate to that goal is going to be completely different than the way you navigate to that goal. So that's a key thing that people miss in communities, and that's a key thing that makes ADHDers feel like outliers and feel like outsiders, because when we enter a group that we think is supposed to be for us, whether it's a sports group and we like sports, whether it's just whatever the group is, if that group isn't, let's say insert genre here that we like, so let's say sports, if that group isn't sports plus ADHD, then it it ends up that group, we start to separate. That group isn't all the way for us, right? Because sometimes we end up outcasted, especially when it goes as far as to the people on the autism spectrum. But some strategies for you guys, just so you guys can use. I know that was another rabbit hole, but just some strategies for you guys to use going into 2024, dating on the spectrum. Communication. So from day one, stress the importance for clear and honest communication. And don't hide it. So if you have ADHD, if you're on the autism spectrum, I always say be the best you, be the youiest you that you can possibly be. So go on that date and don't just jump, hey, I'm Jace, I have ADHD. But as you talk that first date, they need to know that, and they need to understand how to deal with you, because you can't be upset with people for not dealing with you the right way if you don't show them how. There's no just like we want rules, give them the rules that they need, give them the tools that they need. And then if people, ignore it and they don't want to use them, then that's on them. You can let them do what they want to do, but don't ever start a relationship trying to mask from the beginning. I know sometimes we can't help that, and I understand because I've done it too. I've entered relationships being someone I was not at all because I just wanted to be liked, and that is something we do a lot. But I'm saying in 2024, let's not do that. In 2024, let's be us and let's repel the people who don't like us. We don't want anyone who won't like us to get more than one date with us. So on your first dates, be as you possibly can be. Don't show up as your representative. Show up exactly who you know you are. Laugh at things that you feel is funny. Don't laugh at things that you think isn't funny. And that's really hard, right? Because we're trained that if we don't laugh at a joke, now we're being mean. But if you don't think something is funny, don't laugh at that, because you'll find that if you don't laugh at things that you don't find funny, the people who are saying those not funny things will stop saying them to you. But if you keep laughing at those things because you're people pleasing, if you keep laughing at those things because you think you're doing something the right thing, you're going to keep having to deal with this thing that you don't like, right? Whether that's a show, whether that's anything, right? So always just be yourself. I can't stress that enough. And not only be yourself, communicate, what you need, like up front. And I always, the easiest way to communicate that, 'cause a lot of people say, how do I go about communicating what I need? If this is a polite person, it's easy as just saying, hey, so how do you like to communicate? And then after they get done, if they have like manners or if they're just even into you at all, they'll say, and you, and you'll say, so happy you asked. And they'll probably just say, this should be a text here and there, but then you'll give them your whole book of, I need you to not look at me like this. I need you to do this. And then, they can say if they want to deal with that or not. But definitely stress how important communication is to you, because on the spectrum, like, we're really bad at picking up social cues. We're really bad at indirect communication. So let them know. I mean, if you're a guy, I think it just, I don't know if women can really, and this is nothing against, I mean, I'm not a woman. I don't have the parts. I don't have the hormones. So I don't know what causes, the indirectness. But I will just say I haven't dated anyone who didn't show some signs of indirect communication. And it seems like a normal thing. Some of us, even on the spectrum, sometimes communicate indirectly when we're masking. So not to bash anyone who does communicate indirectly, because sometimes it's all we can do and it's what's most comfortable, and sometimes we're scared to be direct. Being direct can be hard, right? I'm not any Just remember, anytime I ever pass any advice to you guys, I need to learn English. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get a translator. Oh yeah. So yeah. So I will say, that's one thing we're gonna end up having a segment, for the guys, for guys' mental health, because guys with ADHD in relationships, it can be hard. It can be really hard because our feelings get hurt more, and it's like that's not something people talk about, and a lot of people don't even know that that's tied to their ADHD. ADHD also affects how you regulate your emotions, and then a lot of people with ADHD are undiagnosed autistic, and autism is like an even more intense unregulation of your emotions. So the people who go undiagnosed with that are problems. And I'm not gonna say problems in relationship, but they have a lot of problems in relationships because they're just thinking. You can also hear English spoken. But yeah, like that's huge. So I think any guy who's struggling, in relationships, any guy who just feels like they've been shut out so many times, and it's due to those things that sound consistent with ADHD. Not saying getting your diagnosis will change things in life, but it's good to know. So now you can let somebody know. You can have that in your bio, right? And I don't, not just there for just to be there, but I just say, if you're dating, if you're open and that's what you're trying to do, if any site that you're looking to date on, make sure it's, again, showing who you are. Okay, I had this, I have that, and it's not a joke. Don't laugh about the ADHD. Be serious that you have it, so no one thinks you're joking. But yeah, just, I always say, express your needs very, very upfront. If you're on the spectrum and you're dating, just be upfront with them. Let them know exactly what you need, and also, I mean, not just tell them that, tell them the good that comes with you. Like, but if you do that, I know it's annoying that you'll have to, be conscious about frowning at me. I know it's annoying that things might be messy around the house because I'll forget, and even if I remember, I'll just be sitting there with it, having, I'm just stuck, I can't move. But there is the bright side to dating me too, and then obviously talk about your the opposite of your flaws. I can't think of it's what it's called, a good trait. But managing your symptoms. So again, in 2024, if you have ADHD, stop pretending like you don't have ADHD when it comes down to do things. So if you know you have ADHD, if your doctor is telling you about a follow-up date, you need to pull your phone out and put that in there, right? Though you're not going to do it once you leave. You're not going to remember to write it down once you get home. You're not going to remember to put it on a sticky note once you get in the car. Do it right then when the doctor says it. Do you know how to say hello, guys, in Spanish? Um, it's been a minute since Spanish, but that should be hola. And then as far as the rest of that, I look like Trevor Noah. I've never gotten that. Oh my god. I've never gotten the Trevor Noah. I'm gonna have to ask around on that. Maybe it's like the lighting. That is a first. Oh my god, Trevor Noah. I mean, not that he's bad, but it's just I've never heard that. But hello guys. I don't know the guys part, so I gotta look it up now. I think that's awful. I don't know how to say hello guys in Spanish, but it just shows how much I just stay in my bubble. Hola chicos. Okay, yeah. I remember. I kind of remember that. Hola chicos. So that is for. It is said that. Hola chicos. Okay, I'm not bad. We're gonna have to get you on the live to teach us some Spanish one of these days. We got where we sitting at. So these will be an hour, just so you guys know. Sometimes when we have guests, they'll be longer. So we are on live for 20 more minutes. But yeah, definitely. You can. Maybe I should talk a little slower, just so if someone is trying to translate, that I'm not. Let me not say that. I cannot talk slow. That is not in me. If I'm talking slow, like I get super nervous when I talk slow. Like I hate talking slow because I feel like I don't know. I like to talk fast, so I'll tell you real quick before I jump back into the dating and stuff. A lot of people that I know, and a lot of people who have seen me live, a lot of people who have seen me talk, have seen me on my days where maybe I was a little bit more hyper, a little days where I was talking more fast. And actually, me talking fast, that was something that could have came with the ADHD, but I believe that I developed it myself in elementary school just because I hated reading out loud, and I always would just read as fast as I could to be over with and be done with that passage so I could be done. And it just turned me into this fast talking person, I think. So I think that's where it started. Do you like the country Dominican Republic? I never been. Um, Honestly, I don't even know. I've heard of it looking beautiful. I've heard people talking about DR a lot, but I would have to I'll have to look that up. Let me actually look up a picture. Let me look up some DR pics while you saying that, and I can share my screen to the people who are in live chat. Dominican. I know I'm butchering the spelling. Yeah, let's see. Oh my god, that looks beautiful. Oh, it's only 4 hours away. Get out. Well, of course by plane, but jeez, wow, that's nice. There are beautiful beaches, rivers, and the food is good. Okay, I'm gonna have to definitely I'm gonna have to definitely look into this. I need to see how to pronounce your name. Look, I see Laura. If you could tell me how to pronounce your username, because I would want to be able to like shout you out, because you just gave me a really good idea. Some of the best people in the world in the most beautiful setting. Wow, all of you guys, am I the only one who hasn't been to DRGs? You guys are all chiming in. But this looks beautiful. I can see that everyone looks so happy. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I know maybe they just knew people were taking pictures, but these people look extremely happy to be there. Um, dope, dope. I like that rabbit hole. That's a great rabbit hole. Let me share my screen for the people who are live here. And if you're listening, I'm sorry you can't see, but if you're listening right now and you're like listening on Apple Podcasts and you can't, or you're just listening in a way that you can't see, look up Dominican Republic right now, and you'll be able to see what we're seeing. Cause like what? Oh my god, that reminds me of that island that they were on in Money Heist when old girl just ruined everything. I don't know if everyone's seen it, so I won't. I'm not the one who I don't like to spoil anything, but just the scene, y'all know if you seen Money Heist, the scene when they were on this dang on island and she decided that she was just ready to just basically go to jail. They said, forget it, like let's just stop living in paradise. But this reminds me of that. This reminds me of that for sure. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. cool rabbit hole. I want to jump back into dating just to stay on topic with our discussion for today. Managing. I wanted to get with managing these symptoms, and just again some more actionable advice for you guys. Creating routine. I know a lot of us are telling ourselves, there's so many people right now, we're probably telling ourselves, I'm going to wait until so and so date to get that together. And we say that, you've probably been saying that exact thing for months. And whenever you were going to do it has been being pushed and pushed and pushed. So come up with a routine and just start it tomorrow. And literally right now, like tonight, come up with a routine, and then just start the routine tomorrow, and then you'll see which parts of the routine don't work. So just try to do everything that you can, and you'll see, okay, that you can make a new routine. You'll find that you'll have to make a few different routines before you find one that works for you. Just like everything, just like therapists, just like, different, techniques to deal with your symptoms. Everyone has different ways. So a lot of people try one routine, and then they just jump out of it. They're like, okay, routines don't work. But no, like, you could find a good routine. Some people need to do their productive things at night. Some people need to work as soon as they wake up, and that's when I'm very, very very, very productive in the morning when I first wake up. Like right now, it's getting to the time where like it's perfect to podcast, because that's all I can do. Like I'm not trying to. After a long work day, I'm very, very unproductive. But we got Amir, man. We got my guy Amir. So Amir, dude, good to see you again. Your business, honestly, dude, had me so excited. I told my wife about it. I was like, dude, like, so Amir, so he attended our webinar, and then after, I just ran him through a free coaching call, just kind of giving him some help with his business and dealing, helping him deal with, business in the business world despite, ADHD, things like that. And just we'll be dropping some footage from that call soon, but just an amazing call, man. Just cool guy. Excited to have you here, man. But yeah, today, just so you just popped in, we're talking about dating with ADHD. So it's something that people don't talk about a lot, especially for the guys, just because a lot of people are just quick to judge guys when we're, acting up, or judge guys when we're, in our feelings. Guys aren't supposed to be in their feelings, all that stuff. But whether that's true or not, I mean, a guy with ADHD, it's like, what are you gonna do, bro? I'm already human, right? So some people don't acknowledge that we're human, and it's okay. But at least acknowledge that I have ADHD, right? So people, we have a reel right now. There's one of our reels going viral right now, is from this Showtime special. Let me pull it up, dude. Because this is like, it's been. I need to turn the notifications off, but it's been like blowing up all my pages, because we collaborated with it on a few pages. But it's just a couple in marriage counseling. Got to go to work. Can't wait to see where this goes. Peace, y'all. Appreciate you for joining. Even if you guys join for just a second, like, just, we appreciate that. We appreciate you joining. It'll definitely be. Sorry, trying to look at these. Yeah, whenever you guys can join. If you guys see that it's happening at 6, feel free to join at 6:30. Join whenever you can. I'm not gonna, even if it's 0 people in here, I'm not gonna stop talking, because this is also being recorded and it's being, uploaded everywhere. But I gotta answer a few of these questions before we keep going. Um, do I like motocross? Wow. I love the things you're asking. Like, everything you're asking, I have to look up. But like, I had motocross video games when I was little. But I don't think I've like seen motocross. I think I just played video games. Mm. I love the questions, man. I like when people make me try new things. But moving back on to, that the reel that we have blown up right now. So it was two couples. They're in a two couples. No, they're two people. They're a couple, and they're in marriage counseling. And to sum up what happens in the video, basically the wife just listens to respond instead of listening to comprehend. But if you guys look at the comments, everyone just kind of it's pretty halfway. I won't say that it's just one going one way, but a lot of people are saying, like, they're bashing the guy, saying the guy says he doesn't feel seen. And they're bashing the guy. They're saying if he doesn't feel seen, he needs to do more, right? So basically, the reason why that can become problematic is because now you're saying and to receive something that is just normal, that should just happen, it takes 3 seconds. you need to do something that would be, bigger. People are suggesting that he quit his job and come home and help her with the kids if he would like to be seen. And that seems a little crazy when I say it out loud. So I hope that if everyone's commenting that, they just haven't said it out loud yet, because that sounds a little nuts. When it would just be easy to say, "Hey, you look handsome today," or "Hey, you went to work." Like people say, "Oh, men won a." The one lady said, "Men won an award for everything." It's like no award, just acknowledge me, like just want to be seen, right? Not to say that doesn't take anything from the woman in the clip. The guy literally, before he went into his spiel and said how he validated everything that she does, and how much he appreciates it, but he just feels, his words were, he feels like a ghost, right? He feels like a ghost in the house. And people assumed that meant that he wasn't present, but a lot of people, and the wife could very well have ADHD, who knows, but a lot of people think that to make someone feel seen, you have to do something very extravagant. A lot of people think that it's not possible to make someone feel seen while you're tending to kids, while you're doing laundry, while you're cooking. You can do both. Making someone feel seen, you can text somebody and make them feel seen, but if you're in the house, you can. It's literally just as simple as just acknowledging you exist, and to go even further, to compliment someone or to just give them an affirmation that you haven't in a while. It's people make these things seem very hard, and it's like breaking, like chewing glass or something. But a lot of people just commenting like, "Yeah, that guy, if he wants to feel seen, he needs to go do more." It's like, wow. It's like it's people were assuming he's trying to add things to her plate, but saying "I love you" or saying "you look handsome today" or saying whatever could just make dude feel seen real quick, shouldn't add to your plate. That shouldn't. I mean, maybe if it's an emotional thing, if there's resentment and there's bigger thing, but it should be really easy to give your partner some words of encouragement. Like if the guy was saying, "You spend too much time with the kids, I want you to go out with me more," a little different. You don't. That's not what you want to do. But if you're just asking to feel seen, if you're just asking, for someone to acknowledge you, it shouldn't be met with so much backlash. But I think most of the people who are commenting some things, just I know that they're not commenting to what they saw; they're commenting to what they're projecting or what they saw. So they're commenting what they in some of them are just commenting what they projected onto someone else and are now projecting onto this. So they're commenting what they thought an ex was feeling about them, or they're commenting, just something that's in their head that didn't come from the clip. Because from the clip, you can't say that anyone is not involved. You can't. There's nothing that, and all these conclusions that people are coming to in the comments, none of that came from the clip. A lot of that is just things that they're pulling from different places, and that's just what that is. But just wanted to talk about that clip just because, since it's on par with just men's mental health and just how it's just often overlooked. And for guys who are on the spectrum, whether it's ADHD, autism, we get into bipolar disorders. I saw someone comment about earlier. It can get really hard with bipolar disorder, but just having an inability to regulate your emotions, people I don't think people understand how crazy that is. Like it's people talk about schizophrenia and it's like, oh my God, that's scary. But you should be scared. I mean, not scared of someone who can't regulate their emotions, but the the idea that you can't regulate your emotions, to me, it just as it me not being able to regulate my own emotions is just as scary to me as someone that would, not to compare things, but it scares me just like schizophrenia would scare me if I heard that I had it, right? Just because emotions like kind of drive us, and emotions are a big part of our life and they affect us in many many ways, especially if you're an entrepreneur. On your heavy emotional days, it's hard to get anything done, so it makes it it makes it extremely hard to just navigate, to succeed, to do certain things. So it's just really good. I mean, it's really good to put a cap on your stress and put a cap on those certain things. But um, we do, just while we're where we're at. So we're about 7 minutes left. I do real quick just want to thank everyone so far who's joined, and obviously we got a few minutes left here. If you guys want to throw some last questions for me, any again, today's talk was really centered around dating with ADHD. If you're just now joining. So that's really what we've been touching on. So if you have any stories, if you have any tips, or if you have any questions surrounding dating with ADHD, feel free. Definitely feel free. And let me go, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna look at one of our posts that we made. And we made a post asking people what we should talk about today. So let me the dating with the ADHD. Since multiple people said that, I just went ahead with that one. But let me go and see what else we got. Excuse me. That was gross. So what should we talk about? What else did we get? If you guys hear that squeaking in the background, that's my disco ball. So I ordered another disco ball because this squeaking started and it started really making me mad. And then disco ball that I ordered, it came broken. And then it's not even a thing. Like it's well the thing came with a thing, but this light don't cut on and it don't do the spinny stuff. And I'm like, bro, I don't like this one because for one it's just green and it squeaks. But yeah, that's just I had to share that because it was grinding my gears. ADHD in children and coping strategies. The biggest thing I think is affirmations, because you don't want to create like ADHD. Sometimes comes with just people pleasing, but a lot of times people pleasers are created. Wow, oh my god, my mic hasn't been connected the whole time, so I just been like natively. That is, I'm so sorry, guys, for the people in the stream. For the people on Instagram, you guys are probably used to it, but geez, I haven't even been using the mic. That's so. This has just been for show this whole time. I'm a fraud. But for kids, I don't have kids. But I've been a child. And I wasn't, diagnosed. So I just say across the board, ADHD or not, when children do things that you don't understand or seem weird or seem like it's something that I don't know. When a kid acts out, don't respond as don't take out whatever's happening to you that day or just give them grace. You don't want to create a people pleaser because people pleasing turns into very dangerous things into adulthood. So you don't want to. You just want to make them feel okay. You just want to make your child. That's a really good question, by the way. But you just want to make them, feel like it's okay to talk to you. Because what happens is people with ADHD, people on the spectrum, we have a tendency to either be completely opened up to you or completely closed off to you. There's no in between. So if you make it so that a child feels like they can't talk to you, they almost probably never will until you mend that. And you might not even know that because they're so good at masking and you haven't learned your child yet, so you don't know when they're masking. See what I'm saying? This is a deep, not good rabbit hole you don't want to take your kid down. So the easiest way to I think to avoid that, I don't have kids, but I've dealt with a lot of kids with ADHD, is just to make them feel seen, make them feel heard. When they do something that's quirky, especially when it's quirky, don't even joke about it being weird. Don't joke about what are you doing when they're doing something that you're not used to. Welcome creativity, welcome being themselves, promote all of that. Just because that's when we go out into the world, that's we're told not to be ourselves at all. We're just told to be whatever society wants us to be that day. So yeah, I would say make them feel seen, make them feel heard, and make them love themselves. Not make them. You can't make anyone love themselves, but create an environment conducive to them loving themselves. I would say. But Ricky Picky, you were one of the people who did comment about that. But so I just started dating said person with ADHD, and I'm trying to understand the dynamic as a neurotypical partner. I'm struggling to feel heard or seen. Oh my God, good, amazing question. So I know my partner, I give her so much grace because I know that it's hard, because I know at times people with ADHD can come off as narcissistic because it almost seems like everything is about us because all day we're reacting to everything. So I'm sure you probably made your partner upset so many times. You had no intention of doing that at all, but it's just we are very overcritical of ourselves, and that usually leaks off into other people. So the standards. So when people, you got to be really when someone is judging you, you need to see how they judge themselves before you want to react to it before you take it to heart. Because if someone's even harder on themselves, don't take it personally, because that's usually what it is with people with ADHD. We set ourselves to a really high standard and we love really hard. So whenever it doesn't match or whenever it doesn't seem like you're reciprocating, we're resentful and we're upset. But with you, I know you mentioned specifically you're trying to understand the dynamic. The dynamic is like, I mean, it depends on the type of ADHD your partner has, whether it's inattentive, the hyperactive, depending on what, like, which one they are, I guess. But for me, the dynamic is I just need to be reminded that you're mine, because I feel like we overthink a lot, and you can do something as just something that can be caused by maybe just hormones, something that can be caused by your cycle, something that can be caused by anything that's normal, and it will always happen. And every time it happens, we'll be like, you still love me? Like it's I don't know what it is, but it's something we can't cut off. Struggling to feel heard. I would say be very like when it comes to communication, be very open. Like just be very transparent and don't be indirect about anything. Be up front about everything, especially with ADHDers. We really like transparency and we hate fluff. Get straight to the point. Don't beat around the bush with us. Um, that's just me. So I'm giving you whenever I give advice. If you guys are, whenever neurotypicals, whenever you join the streams and you're asking me for advice to dealing with someone else, I love that. By the way, that's amazing, and I feel like they're lucky to have you that you're even doing that. That's dope. But always understand that I'm giving it to you from my perspective. So I don't know who you're with. I don't know what they deal with, but I can give you the best that I can. But yeah, I would say if you're struggling to feel heard by them, that's a um, I just reread that and I'm like, I can't say that I don't have a problem making her feel heard because I would have to ask her that. I mean, I think I do a pretty good job. But out of sight, out of mind is really common for ADHDers. So we need reminders. The things that we usually prioritize are your feelings and your health. So if we feel personally both of those are being met, we won't really do anything. So you might, I'm a romantic, so I mean, she gets a lot of dates and things like that. But for some people who aren't romantic, you're gonna have to remind them for things like that, or just because it's just like out of sight of mind. I haven't seen Benihana's or I haven't seen whatever. I know we're all like international, so I don't know what's like the hot the hot restaurant for you guys where you are, but whatever restaurant they haven't seen it, right? So it's just not on their head. But consistency and stability goes a long way with youth in battling ADHD. Yes, Adam, I agree. Consistency, that's a good one. Because a lot of people say, oh, I've been nice to you all these times, but when ADHD, the one time you blow up on us for being ourselves, it's not even your fault. You're not a bad person, but you've lost access to us. You've almost lost access to us in that manner, depending on how young we are. Like if it's young, like they just they're trained, they don't ever want to feel that feeling again, and they won't even ever show you that. So you have to be consistent with everything you do. So obviously we're not perfect, but obviously it's consistent. But I love that you mentioned that instability for sure. We're going to wrap up here in a second. I'm going to read the last questions that are already written here, and then we'll wrap up. I appreciate everyone who's joined today, man. I'm just was so excited just to do this. Like we've been wanting to do this for so long, and we'll obviously get deeper. You guys will get to know me more as we do this because this happening every week, at least 2 times a week, remote. And then we're going to have one time in person, maybe more with guests in person. And we're going to have other guests outside of our 2 regular episodes weekly. So we're going to be seeing each other a lot. I appreciate you guys, and you guys can definitely turn on the notifications and all that. But let me read these last few questions and we'll hop out of here for the day. Love this, need to adjust so much, man. Calming strategies. Um, so I'm unorthodox when it comes to that route. Let me not say unorthodox, but I did. So I never smoked until like after everyone had already smoked in high school, but I didn't even try until I was like 20 or 21. And my first time ever smoking weed, like I thought I was dead, and I was like never doing that again. But then that was like I think sativa or something like that. So then I tried indica, and for anyone who's tried smoking to deal with it, I mean, just talk to doctors and understand the pros and the cons and the risks, and the rewards. But for me, indica strands of marijuana and with like low percentages do very well for calming. But sometimes not in nowadays, and this I don't mean to make this a weed talk, but nowadays pretty much everything is hybrid. So there's sativa, there's hybrid, which is in the middle, and there's indica. Indica is usually with people who don't or aren't hard smokers and stuff like that, what you would want to smoke because it's not as harsh and aggressive. It's the one that makes you a little sleepy and it's calming. Sativa is like for crazy people. Sativa is crazy. But indica, I found that it's done wonders for me. It helps me sleep. But it just you have to watch yourself, guys. Like I'm never gonna say go do recreational. I mean, I do have my medical card, but I'm not saying it's a fix for ADHD, but it definitely helps me calm down sometimes when I'm overthinking. If my partner isn't around, because sometimes when I'm overthinking, I'll just go to her and say, "Hey, can you just tell me what's in my head isn't the truth, and I'll just walk away and thank you. But if she's not around to do that, then I just have to, I'll hit something and I'll just maybe drink, some wine or something like that. But I obviously we want to clean the things, not clean the alcohol, not clean things like that. But obviously in moderation, these things I do just, very, very lightly. Um, Very, very good question. Let me see what else. Sometimes it feels almost avoidance. I suffer from anxiety, so for me, it feels like I'm not interesting enough. Oh, I understand that completely. Mm, I do apologize to hear that because I can. I mean, I'm an empath, but I can definitely empathize with that. So let's see, because I want to definitely give you, before we jump off, my last advice will be to you. So you suffer from anxiety, and it almost feels like you're not interesting enough. I'm assuming you're referring to the times where, I mean, if the hyper focus isn't on you. So I'll give you an example right now. So I run like 7 different social media pages and create content. Beyond that, I run 3 different businesses. And president of You First, so You First Solutions sponsors this podcast. Business coaching and things like that for ADHDers over there. I have another company where we help creatives, and I have a production company that's local. We have a few studios. I say all that to say, not to brag, but this is my life, and I'm always busy, and I put a lot of focus on these things. I mean, I'm pretty motivated. I'm pretty money motivated, not as much as I used to be, or yeah, not as much as I used to be. But it's just because I fell off, and I got really down, before, and I just never want to see that ever again. So I'm not gonna stop working my butt off until like I'm there where I need to be, like seriously. But that can come off even if someone's not working towards like, something that maybe you find is important. Sometimes, people are just focused on whatever, whatever is pertinent to them. But I would say that, I always say, don't leave anything unsaid. So if if you're saying, hey, I understand, and it's just always good to lead. What I learned in therapy is to not use what's the word, man? What's the word? Don't say, like, when you're talking about how someone makes you feel, say how they made you feel and not that they did this. So for example, um Jeez. Oh yeah, you made me sad. Instead of saying you made me sad, say that you did this, and after that, I felt sad, or after you did this thing. Like, don't. A lot of times, those things make people get defensive, or they create an environment that is conducive to being defensive. Again, we can't make anyone do anything, but just it's always about how you deliver things. It's we're all human, so in a perfect world, you should be able to say how you're feeling in whatever way you want, and then someone should respond the right way. But in this day and age, things are on edge. Everyone is like, we're all overthinking, we're all scared. Everything it's hard to trust people. So it's good to just, hey, I know you have ADHD. I know you have internal forces that are keeping you from doing certain things. I know they affect your mood. I know all that stuff. But me, I'm also a person. I have anxiety. So can you just, if you ever feel yourself, losing focus in me, or if you ever feel yourself getting that way, or if you just can see that I'm feeling a way, just, speak up, or however you can articulate that without, creating an environment that's going to make them be defensive. Right. So that's that's as deep as I'm gonna go with that. I do want to touch more about this next week. I'm definitely glad to hear that this was beneficial. That's the goal. I always want to provide as much value as I possibly can. But we'll be doing this. So if you guys are joining late, or if you guys, anyone who's in here right now, thank you so much for joining. And again, we're going to be doing this every single week. We'll be going live so we're live in our community. So we have an app. It's called Circle. Download the Circle app. If you comment under any of our reels, if you DM us ADHD, you'll be invited to our community, where you will then be able to join these lives, and you'll be able to participate within the community as well. But again, signing off, guys. This has been our first remote episode of the Hyperactive Hustler with your host, Jay Supreme. Thank you guys all who interacted with the live. You guys won't be forgotten, and we will see you guys again next week.
Ain't feel like getting up at all.